Hi there, my name is Mary Kilolea. Welcome to the To Be Bolder podcast, providing career insights for the next generation of women in business and tech. To Be Bolder was created out of my love for technology and marketing, my desire to bring together like-minded women, and my hope to be a great role model and source of inspiration for my two girls and other young women like you, encouraging you guys to show up and to be bolder and to know that anything you guys dream of, it's totally possible. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the conversation. Hi there. Today's guest knows that profitability isn't just about the numbers. It's about designing business that works for your life, not the other way around. Tana Kramer is the founder of TK Solutions and a profitable strategist who empowers women entrepreneurs to grow sustainable, profitable businesses with intention. From her early days working with her father's small town glass shop to managing complex financial operations for powerhouse brands, Tanya has seen firsthand what works and what gets in the way. And when it comes to building a financially healthy business, she's pretty smart at it. She's known for her ability to streamline chaos, boost efficiency, and help her clients align their business strategy with their lifestyle goals. If you've ever felt overwhelmed by financial side of entrepreneurship, like so many of us have, you're going to want to stay tuned for this. Okay, Tanya, great to have you here. I love the topic. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Okay, so part of the show is I always like to tell people kind of where you are or how you got to where you are today, because not everyone's path is linear. So tell us about how you started and, working at your dad's shop, how that kind of formed maybe some of your early career path choices, maybe.
Yeah, I always tell people that I have been like a support to the business owner for as long as I can remember. Because when I was answering phones at the glass shop on my summer break, I was like 8. I'm like, I can't believe he let me answer the phones, but apparently I did a good job. And then later on, even in my childhood, I was a nanny to entrepreneurs while I worked a full-time job and went to college because I could spin lots of plates. And I loved that family and I wanted them to be able to do what they needed to do. And then fast forward, graduated from Arizona State University, management degree. I remember when I was like, I have to go work for $9 an hour for a minute. I don't really understand this. Like, how did I go to college and I'm only making $9 an hour? But I moved up the chain a little bit. I worked as in collections of all places. Like that is a crazy place to spend your first real job. But I learned pretty quickly that the corporate lifestyle was too tricky because it didn't have enough impact, and it was a lot of what I'm going to call minutia. And so I went and I started working for a startup bank. So I got my first taste of like startup life where everyone wears 17 hats and you all just like get in, get your hands dirty. And then I worked for another business owner who had like 5 businesses, and I helped him like navigate all of the different real estate and the hot dog place and the glass company, which is again funny, different glass company. And then, over the course of time, I've worked for like franchisors and worked for a concrete company for a while, worked for an apparel company. And then I worked for an influencer. And I remember when I was like, oh my gosh, this is growing. And their like goals are crazy. Like they wanted 100 people to like report to me. And I was like, no, thank you. No. This is not aligned with my life plan.
Right.
And so that's when I actually started my own business. I was like, I love helping entrepreneurs, but I want to be able to have a little bit more like say in what's happening, and so it can match my life. At the time I was launching my middle child, and so there was like this ticker on not only launching her but the one right behind her. I was like, oh my gosh, I need to be able to be present. They're about to leave my house. And so I decided I could bring the skill set that I had learned over the course of time into businesses that I was really, really passionate about what they were doing. And so now at this point, that's women entrepreneurs, typically professional service providers earning between 1 and 5 million in revenue. And they're like, they've got a lot of the business figured out. And now they're ready for that next layer of financial strategy. And how do I make sure we're profitable? How do I create decision-making tools? And so now I get to do that I do have like what I'm going to call a boutique accounting firm. I have no desire to have 150 clients either. I'm like, I want to be able to be in it with the business owners. And so I only take a handful. And then we've got some that we do some just basic bookkeeping or some basic consulting. But I love to like get my hands into a couple of different businesses and really operate as their fractional CFO and just make sure that they have like a calm sense of foundation in the area of finance as they grow their rocket ship.
I love the breadth of variety in your background, and I love that you clearly can articulate who you serve and what your boundaries are, because I think that is the key to success in whether you're working for
100%.
someone else or whether you're working for yourself, is knowing yourself enough to claim your space. So kudos to you. All right. So we talked a little bit about who you serve and your background. Now, what services do you offer?
Yeah. So everything always starts out with what I call the financial wellness assessment is, and I like to like get into your books and figure out, should you be making decisions based on the reports that you're currently being given? Because right, sometimes there's like things hidden in there.
Mhm.
And so I like to make sure that like the baseline is really good. So that's always my first step. And so I do that for people who only hire me for that one thing.
Mm.
Or I will also, depending on like what the level of um, like work that needs to be done in there, I will do 90-day engagements. And then depending on, you know, if I have space in that sort of bucket of the handful that I'm really immersed in, then I do offer an outsourced accounting a team. I have a bookkeeper or a couple of bookkeepers and some other folks on my team, so we can sort of support the whole finance function. And then I do also just half day consulting sessions. So somebody's like, "Hey, I just want to build out a budget and think about things in the future." We get together for 4 hours and we figure out how to get that built for you. So lots of I kind of try to meet people where they are.
I love that. And I think people like you are needed so great now because everyone, well, I shouldn't say everyone, lots of people are getting laid off. Lots of people are either later in life going, I am done with corporate. I'm not going back. I'm going to start I'm not ready to retire, but I'm going to go start my own business or I'm going to start
Absolutely.
monetizing a hobby of mine. But a lot of people don't think about it as a business or the financial arm of it because they just follow what they love or what they want to build. So I think, what do you see, I guess, as one of the biggest trips or like hangups or challenges that most entrepreneurs overlook?
Looking at their numbers is definitely going to be the biggest thing, and think because a lot of times people think they're going to remember, but I will tell you, the best of us do not remember.
Mhm.
Like we remember it a certain way, right? And then when it turns out people have a tendency to like spend that money. Oh yeah, earmarked for this, but I spent it on this, and I'm
Mhm.
still thinking about how I'm going to spend it. And before you know it, they spent that same dollar 3 times, right? So like memories are deceiving. So you got to do something about tracking to make sure that what you think you remember is truly what happened. And again, this is not even like a memory problem as much as everybody thinks, oh yeah, I've got my pulse on that. And I think that it's important to make sure that that's what your financial statements are going to say, because at the end of the year you're going to pay taxes on what your financial statement said, not what you remember. And so just to ground what's actually happening with what you think. And again, sometimes you're really like positively surprised. But I think like having a routine I look at, somebody's doing my bookkeeping or I'm doing my bookkeeping and we're looking at how the business is doing periodically is really key. So if that's monthly for you, great. If that's quarterly for you, great. If that's annually, that's not often enough.
That's so great. So I want to kind of go back a little bit into your career. Was there a moment in your own career where you felt stuck or unsure, and how did you move through it? Because today you've built a successful business, and I think some of the people who are listening to you are like 10 steps or 5 steps behind you. So,
Sure.
what are some of those mistakes and how did you overcome them to help them?
Yeah. Well, I think that it started with just feeling like a feeling of misalignment. Maybe that it looked a little bit like resentment. It looked a little bit like, what do you mean I got to do that? Or that doesn't align with how I want to show up. So there was like this like energetic feeling of things don't feel right. Why am I cranky at everyone? You know what I mean? Like, why do I hate my life? I mean, that was maybe probably stretched, but like, you have those moments where you feel like the sky is falling.
Yeah.
If there's too many days and they're not related to, you're just tired, or you just, you had a long week, or, like sometimes those things happen and that's just normal and you still love what you were doing. But when you start to feel like, I'm actually really dreading every single Monday, like, it's time to think about what you need to be doing differently. And so sometimes that means you need to set up your life differently. Like maybe you're just thinking things need to look one way. And as it turns out, if you just made this like half-degree turn, you could still love the work that you're doing in just a different capacity. But it always starts with, why am I so cranky at everybody?
That self-reflection is so key.
For sure. For sure. And again, I know that for me, I feel it in my body. Like I get really
Mm.
tense and I'm like, why am I grinding my teeth at night? Or, why do I feel like my shoulders are up high? It's because I'm holding on to an expectation that does not align with what I think I know at some level needs to be happening.
Um, Working with a lot of women leaders, what are some recurring themes you notice when it comes to confidence? And, we talked about it right there, burnout, or even scaling. What are some themes that you see?
A lot of times I see people who are they're unsure, and so they're just openly unsure. And usually that's probably once they become a client, they like there's a sense of, I can't talk to anybody on my team this. I don't want to freak out my partner, but I need to know this is going to be okay. Right. So they're like looking for some reassurance.
Mhm.
And then I think that the other thing they do is they're obsessing about, one part of the business or one part of life, or they're obsessing about something. And in fact, I just asked somebody today, I was like, so let's talk about what's happening there. Let's dissect what's happening there. Is this because you don't have the support you need? Or is
Mhm.
this because you are spending more time here than you quote unquote should because it's helping you to feel safe? And so sometimes we're just like navigating, why are we doing this behavior? And is there a way we can like take two steps back and be like, okay, wait, that is, I just didn't have the support I needed. I need to hire somebody differently, or I need to assign somebody else on the team. But other times it's like there's such an unsuredness that they're obsessing about the numbers, or they're obsessing about the sales plan, or they're obsessing about somebody dumb on their team, or who's doing something dumb on their team. And so I find that if they're too far down the rabbit hole, then we gotta like back things up and be like, why is that happening? Can we help? What else? What are some other tools?
Well, and I think listening to you makes me think that you offer so much more than just guidance on numbers and profitability. I mean, the emotional intelligence that you have in order to know your clients are struggling with something so much broader and deeper. Um, and I think that is, and I'm going to say it, an advantage women have over men. Like,
Oh,
I
100%.
and I think that's why women who are listening need to really interview the people they're going to hire to support them, because things are going to bubble up that are holding us
Absolutely.
back more than just the problem we think we're addressing.
For sure. People always think it's like this one thing. And I'm like, guess what? There's another thing behind it. The current constraint is just the current constraint because there's always a constraint. So let's like not think that we're going to like solve it and everything's going to be done and things perfect from here on out. That's not how it works. And I think that we show up everywhere. So if we have limiting beliefs, they're going to show up, right? So, and again, I was just telling this particular client, I was like, yeah, I understand this particular thing because as a business owner, I'm holding the fractional CFO hat for you, but I'm holding the CEO hat for myself. So
Mm-hmm.
I get in my own stuff where I have to tell myself like, hold on, where are we out of alignment? You're pushing too far in that direction. It doesn't feel right. Take a few steps back, reassess like what feels off. So yeah, I mean, I definitely, I'm not just a fractional CFO. Although I will say that, if you think about the C-suite, right, they're going to hold a different space for each other. Even just in directing the business. So yeah, I definitely function as a safe landing place for all ideas. You know,
How how often do you see, because I used to read Susie Orman, the relationship with money, and
yeah.
how you don't show it respect. I know that was a big book. And literally, I'm going to tell you, I think that's the only financial advice I ever got growing up. And that was in
Yeah.
my late 30s when I read that book, maybe 40s. I don't know. But
Yeah.
like so many of my own money issues stem from how I
Mhm.
was raised or the lack
100%.
of talking about it.
Mhm.
What can women do who need to educate themselves?
Absolutely. Well, I can remember it was a couple of years ago. I heard my mom talking about something after I'd started my business, and I was like, "Where does this come from? This scarcity mindset? Where does it come from?" Right?
Mhm.
And I was like, "Why do we always think everyone's after our money? Like, what is this?" So, and and she ended up talking to me about like her dad and where he came from, and I was like, "Okay, cool, I get it." Setting it down, like I'm not here for it. So I think what the technical thing is just if you can uncover where it's coming from, then maybe it's easier to let go. But if not, get yourself into rooms where people are sure it's possible and you can borrow some of their confidence while you prove it to yourself. And so I regularly tell people like get into a different room, whether that be networking or a mastermind or just a group coaching program or even your social feed. Like find places where we are normalizing that people can make money without discounting all of their services, or they can have enough less do good with it, right? Like you just find places that that's happening. And guess what? There are like the whole rainbow is here, right? There's
Mhm.
everybody on the spectrum. If you are in a place that you don't like, it's time to move.
Yeah.
And it won't take right away. You might have to make a couple of different moves to find like your new place, but be open to changing the room that you're in.
Such great advice. Let's talk about visibility. I love this topic.
Mhm.
How have you built visibility for yourself and your brand as a company? And
Mhm.
what do you recommend other entrepreneur women who are trying to build their brand out there?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think that it definitely starts with doing good work. If you've done good work, uh, in your corporate life, everybody you've ever talked to is going to know that you've done good work. So if you're applying that work in a different way and you introduce them to the idea that you're doing this new thing, if you've done a good job in your personal brand before it was a thing, then you're going to be able to have those conversations. And I've got a lot of business just from the relationships that I have made in my regular life for 30 years. And then the things I'm doing that are kind of more new is I'm networking everywhere. And I wouldn't call like I'm not a salesy networker. I just like here's who I am. I hope that we can be entertained by each other. I want you to know what I do so that when you're ready or when you meet somebody who is asking about what I do, that you can be like, oh yeah, you should talk to her. That's like
Mhm.
all I'm ever looking for, right? Because we're always just a couple of degrees away from our next client. So if you just keep showing up and make sure people know what you do, it will totally work out. And then I'm doing this podcasting thing, which I have had so much fun. I really am enjoying it. I was like, I might have to start a podcast because it's so much fun.
It really is fun. Are you
Mhm.
leveraging LinkedIn?
Yes, and then LinkedIn. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. That's the
Okay.
only social platform I'm like really on. I'm on Instagram, but I'm terrible about posting on it. So
Uh,
LinkedIn more so.
but I think that's important because people think social media is so overwhelming, but you don't have to be on every platform. Pick one that works for you. And I think LinkedIn obviously is a great one because of all the business relations.
And be where your clients are. Like if your clients like because there was a time where I was like, oh, I love consuming TikTok. But my clients, even if they are on TikTok, are not going to take any amount of financial advice seriously on TikTok, nor do I want to be dancing on video. Like, no, that's a hard no. So you have to be where your clients are and where they're ultimately going to want to see you. Like, where are they in the mindset that they would be thinking about hiring you?
I love it.
And I think
Okay.
we sometimes get that mismatched.
Absolutely. What does to be bolder mean to you?
Mm. I feel like to be bolder is to own so wholeheartedly who and what you want out of this one precious life that you should go against the grain of what you think and others think for you because not their life, your life, your internal happiness. So you have to sort of embrace the knowing who you are and then share that with the world.
Fantastic. How can people get in touch with you to learn more?
Well, definitely LinkedIn. So Tana Kramer. And then my website is also that easy, tanakramer.com. If they want to have any more of a sense of who I am, there's definitely some things posted on LinkedIn. But I've got a private podcast. If you go out to my website, that is just like a little bit more of tactical advice in your business. Pretty short. They're like 5 minutes each or something. So that's another free thing just to get to experience, more of what it might look like to work together.
Fantastic. So I know our time is up, but any parting words for women out there listening who are either in business or tech, trying to build careers, whether that is within the corporate world or whether that is, branching out on their own business journey, being a founder?
Yeah, you can do it. You can do anything that you put your mind to. You just have to be brave enough to do it. And so you can. So if you think you can't, you're wrong. You totally can.
I love it. Thank you so much for being here.
Thanks for having me. It's fun.
Thanks for listening to the episode today. It was really fun chatting with my guest. If you liked our show, please like it and share it with your friends. If you want to learn what we're up to, please go check out our website at 2bbolder.com. That's the number 2, little b, boulder.com.